Hello, Rhino Nation. It is Brent Daniels on the number one wholesaling podcast on planet Earth, the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I have a phenomenal interview today with an exceptional professional out of Logan, Utah. But real quick, just to start off, I want to touch base on one thought. This thought is, how often are you looking at your short-term goals? How often are you writing down a goal that you're going to accomplish in the next 30 days? I highly suggest that you take a 3x5 note card. You write down your goal. You put when the date is that you'll achieve that goal, and then you sign that 3x5 card, and you keep it in your wallet, in your purse, in your sock, on your mirror, in your bathroom, in your car, somewhere where you can see it every single day, so that you know that you've got that GPS point that you're going to every single day that you're trying to accomplish. If it's just simply get my first deal, write it down. Put a 30-day time clock on it, because if you don't, it could just be, it could be anywhere. If it's open-ended, that's exactly what it's going to end up being. It's just going to be the next, 30 days, next 30 days, next 30 days. No, make a stand right now to write down a goal that you're going to accomplish in the next 30 days. Write it on a 3x5 card and put it somewhere that you're going to see it and read it every single day. It is magical. It will seriously, watch what happens to that goal after you read it every single day for 30 days. It'll set you in line with accomplishing that goal every single day and keeping you focused. So just a little tip before we get into this flamethrower of a man named Drew Clements. Drew, are you there, buddy?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, good.
Like I should be taking notes instead of talking with the introduction.
No, this is awesome. So you live in Logan, Utah, right?
Right.
So tell me, give me your background. What have you been in real estate for a while?
So my wife and I started in real estate back in 2013. We've kind of been going slow and steady. I did not plan on getting into wholesaling or flipping. My background is actually in digital advertising. So I ran an agency in Colorado for about 5 years. And at that point, we're like, well, we're feeling more established. Let's get into real estate, which for us was buy and hold rentals. And we just want to, use bank loans, buy a rental, fix it up if needed, and then, kind of rinse and repeat until we've got our portfolio there. So we bought a duplex in 2013. We moved into one of the units, and it was in really rough shape. I bought it when my wife was on vacation, actually.
Oh, no. You are a brave man.
So we're still married.
That's good.
But it was a rough year while we were renovating the top unit after our tenant moved out. We moved up there, renovated the bottom. And at that point, I had amassed an arsenal of tools, and I was loving flipping and, renovating. And then we had this confluence 2 years later in 2015 when all the renovations are done and we're trying to decide, okay, what are we going to do? And it was, we can either keep it like we planned, stay with the agency, or do something else. And we went with something else. I was done with ad agency life. We really liked the project. And so we decided, hey, let's become flippers. And, we sold that one. The market had appreciated like crazy in Colorado. We moved closer to family, quit the ad agency, and then we had to figure out what the heck are we going to do.
Sure.
So I got my license. And
your real estate license?
Yep. And in the process of getting my license, that actually kind of derailed us a little bit. Because when you get your license, everybody's got the perspective of, oh, you represent buyers or sellers, and that's what you do.
Yep.
But we wanted to represent ourselves as buyers and flip properties. So it took a little bit to get through that. And then we started advertising with the goal of flipping properties. And we did 2 properties that we flipped, and we had an accidental wholesale in the mix there. And fast forward, 8 months later, we sell all of our inventory. and we're at square one again, and just that roller coaster ups and downs, and we realized we don't want to do that, and that's when we decided to get into wholesaling full time.
Got it.
And we were talking earlier before the call, like if you look at my disc profile, I am not TTP material. I would not hire myself. So my wife, when I said, "Hey, we're going to be on the podcast, or I'll be on the podcast," we kind of laughed about it a little bit because, it's been slower for us probably than a lot of people, and it's been a lot of failure and learning and really creating our own way.
Sure.
Just because of those sorts of things. So, but when was it?
Let me ask you this, Drew. Why wholesaling and why not flipping? What made you guys go in the direction of, because I think there's a very common crossroads that we come across, right, in this business when we source our own deals, right? When you source your own deals, you can either fix it up and go through that process, take the pride, pick out the colors with, you and your wife picking out the fixtures and the flooring and, the color palette and everything. Or why don't we just flip the contract? Why don't we sell the contract? I mean, there's that crossroads. There really is, because there's a lot of pride that goes into it and a lot of fun that you can have flipping. But there's certainly a lot of other things that can go a little bit not as easy with flipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a cut and dry, here's this box and this box and this box answer for that. What we've determined for us, and it's different for everybody, is we've started looking at the flipping genre more of as a continuum from, assigning contracts at one end to, doing full renovations and selling retail at the other.
Yeah.
And what I've learned over the years is, if you focus and build that business, that's better, right? Than being scattered like we were before. So that's why we haven't closed on a deal. We've been assigning contracts exclusively for the last year and a half. We're getting to where we're starting to take down deals, but we're not flipping.
Yep.
We're going to be wholesaling those in the sense of still sending them out to our cash buyers list, but having more leverage because we own it. And being a licensee, I can also, list it if I want.
Sure.
So depending on the property, and I know, Tom is very adamant about don't do that. So if you're just starting out, definitely don't try to do everything.
Right.
But over time, you develop those processes and skills and abilities and infrastructure, and that, I've got some good employees now that, smooth things out as well. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to look at doing more of that.
Got it.
But that comes after building up I call it the engine of the business of, like you said, finding deals.
Yep.
And, creating that pipeline that you can then draw from.
Got it. So let's circle the wagons back to this whole disc profile personality test. So Drew here is a driver / analytical, right? He is a guy that is not this guy that has 100,000 words that he's going to speak a day. He's going to talk your ear off and just jibber jabber with everybody. That's just not his personality, right? So getting into TTP and picking up the phone every day and making cold calls to strangers every day was not like you were not getting out of bed excited about this, right?
Right, but because I'm a driver, I do it.
Exactly.
And TTP makes sense because, and by TTP I don't mean just cold calling, but I'm talking about the program. It made sense when I saw it. I joined Wholesaling Inc. in, I think, July of 2017, mm-hmm. and I joined TTP in September. Yep. So we've been in TTP for 1 year now.
Yeah.
And the reason why I wanted to do it was because I was seeing a drop in my response rates in direct mail. I was seeing a lot more competition in my online channels, like Google Ads, Bing Ads, Facebook, all of that. So, we're adapting our marketing, and TTP fit in there because I know from experience it's hard to do.
Yes.
So even though I do have competition, it's it's not like they can just put up a billboard and ding, they got that space. I'm shut out.
Yeah.
I just have to get on the phone.
Yep. So how did you overcome it? How did you get on the phone? I mean, were you making calls? Were you talking to people? Were you getting and reaching out to homeowners on like a regular basis?
Yeah, so it was really slow getting to that point because I'm still doing all of the other channels as well. I still do direct mail, PPC, all of that, but we wanted to introduce TTP into the works. So when I joined the program, I should have spent more time doing it myself, but right away pretty much I hired a gal. Actually, I hired one guy, he didn't work out, and then I hired another person that was super consistent, and calls were pretty good, but we got, I think, one deal in 6 months
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
it was a good deal, but not that good.
Right. Sure.
So I got back on the dialer, and within a couple of weeks, we've got deals again. So there's, even for somebody like me that's analytical and not super social, like I can do it. You just follow the script.
Yeah.
You can learn to relate with people, and match and mirror their social styles, and like all of those resources are in the program.
Yep.
I just follow the program.
Yeah.
and just do it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I've done a number of deals from my contacts through TTP, and I recently hired another guy who's heads and shoulders above where we were before.
Yeah.
And we're just looking to expand it that way. For me, it's a marketing channel.
Awesome.
And I can do it, but I can also hire people to do it. And now that I've got more experience, we're going to have more success as I hire it out too. So we're looking at it that way too. Like I said, we've had lots of failures and learning, and that applies to TTP as well.
So when you're calling, when you're personally calling or have personally called, what was your favorite list to call?
Oh, it's Driving for Dollars.
Yeah.
Hands down, like, there's probably 10 different lists that we source, and it's, everything from, stuff that where we're writing down the address to, all the list source stuff that everybody else has.
Yep.
But I mean, what we've done is we just rank order our lists, and we make sure that when we've got a top priority list, we're hammering that one first and fast before we, get to the absentee owners with equity.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, if you prioritize your list, for sure you're going to get better results. I mean, especially if it's, some of the Driving for Dollars you have to jump on right away, but that's a tougher list to get. But something that's time sensitive, like pre-foreclosures or probates, or somebody that inherited a property, the sooner you can get to those, the better. I mean, I've got a person just focused. I'm hiring another 2 people just so that they're like calling and leaving messages for each and every one to get to those as quickly as possible, because those are like pure gold. So getting to them quickly is, and by the time mail gets to them, I mean, if you're getting a list that you mail to, I guarantee you in your market at least 20 to 50 to 100 people, I mean, you could attest to this, are got that same list, and they're mailing to the same people, and they're very similar. But when you're reaching out and actually getting them on the phone, I mean, it's a blue ocean. You know what I mean? By that I mean it's just there's not a lot of blood in the water, right? So you know what I mean? I mean, it's a book. Anyway, so Driving for Dollars was your favorite. So what? Give us a deal. Give us a deal breakdown. Any deal you want. If you want it to be TTP, great. I'd love that. If not, then any deal. Any deal you want to break down. Tell me. Let's give them some meat and potatoes on this.
So last week we talked a little bit about. I texted you a question. You responded, and you actually gave me a call. We talked about one. It was a foreclosure that we ended up doing the loan on. Do you want to talk about that one?
I love it. Perfect.
That one. So this is not like I said when we were chatting back and forth. This is not a deal that I want to do again. But the thing that I think, the reason why I want to talk about this one is, everybody can talk about their deals where, we bought it for, or the situation was X, we gave them an offer, we, followed the process, and we got it at a great discount. We sent it out to our list and closed it. There's all of that. I learn more from the really messy deals, and we don't want to do those, but sometimes they're the ones that give us the most value in how we look at stuff.
Yep.
So this deal, it was here in Logan actually, which doesn't transact. It's not as hot a market as some other places as far as transaction volume, but we've been doing more deals here because of TTP. I called this guy. He was one of the few laydowns that I've gotten. I said, "Hey, have you thought about selling your house?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's like, "When do you want to sell it?" Like as soon as possible. It's like, okay, well, and then we got into condition and all of that, and it was in super rough shape. But over the phone, he gave me his price, and it was, after repaired value is like 180. We put it under contract he wanted 90, and he said, that's what I owe. And I said, well, you know what, I want to, make it work really well for you. So, let's do 92 so that you can get some moving expenses and that kind of stuff. I want you guys to get something. So we put it under contract for 92. I sent it out to my list. For some reason, during my due diligence, I usually use some tools to look at county records, and I'll look at the abstract of title to see if anything weird's going on. The tool wasn't working that day. I don't know why, but it came back to bite me.
Of course.
Because once we're doing due diligence, we had our buyers, we had done inspection, and the property report comes back from title, and lo and behold, it is in foreclosure, something serious, and it's going up for auction in like 3 weeks. So the thing that I learned from this was it was almost by mistake, in the sense that, I'm not a super polished negotiator, but I try a little bit.
Sure.
So when we learned that it was in foreclosure, I realized, boy, his payoff is probably going to be higher than what he owes because of penalties and interest and all of that. So I reached out to him texting and said, hey, our agreement, is this, and I wasn't aware it was in foreclosure. The payoff might be a little bit higher, and that could mean you'll need to bring cash to closing. I'm assuming we're planning on that. And he texted back. I was amazed. He said, yeah, I've got this retirement account that I've been paying into, and I'm going to take care of it that way. So part of it was negotiation. Part of it, the guy was just super honest and there's good people out there. And that's what really blew me away and just, made me feel really blessed with this transaction. But not only was he, but there's more to it. So I don't want to ramble on too much, so I'll try to keep
good.
So he was divorced. His ex-wife, they had gotten the divorce decree. His ex-wife was off title. They had done a quitclaim deed, but on the quitclaim deed, they missed her middle initial, so it didn't match the deed. So we needed to clean that up. She lives in New York. Auction is now like 2 weeks away. And also his funds from the retirement, it takes a while for those
to get released. Yeah.
So we've got this freight train of an auction coming, and we're trying to, figure out how we can get everything wrapped up. And I've got a buyer. My assignment was going to be $20,000 on this deal. So it's not one that I want to let go easily.
Sure.
So what we did was, and there's more on the buyer side too that came up, but what happened was, I'll just kind of skip to the end. So our buyer, we got it to where the difference between the payoff and the contracted amount was the same as the assignment fee. Mm-hmm. Then when we closed, and we got the corrected quitclaim deed from his ex-wife the day before we closed. It came FedEx, so we get that taken care of, and then we closed on the Friday, and the auction was Monday.
Oh.
So
yeah.
But so the assignment was the same amount as the payoff, but the buyer or the seller still didn't have his funds cash to close. So what we did was you can't do a simultaneous close in Utah, but what we did was the buyer paid off the lender, and my assignment fee came to me in the form of so I used my assignment fee to put money down on the table so the seller could close.
Got it.
So all I walked away from closing with was a unsecured, because you didn't have any real estate, right? You just sold it. So an unsecured promissory note.
Yep.
To my company.
Yep.
And the way I looked at it was, okay, either we're going to have to just walk away from this deal, and the guy, loses the house, gets a foreclosure on his credit, and our buyer doesn't get a house that he's excited about flipping, and we don't make any money, right? So like negative for everybody. Or we take a promissory note, our buyer gets his flip, they're stoked about that, the seller gets to move, has no stress, no foreclosure on his record, the bank gets paid in full, and maybe we get paid. So 2 weeks later, and I've been following up with them, of course.
I bet.
Later, I get a cashier's check for the full amount, and by then it was like 18,000 something.
Yeah.
So, and that's not a small deal for us up here. Usually, we're pushing it really hard to get $10,000 assignment fees.
Sure.
So to get one that's 18,000 after having gone through all of that was, we were so happy. I've never been so happy about getting a check. But I was just amazed at how it works out when you try to. It doesn't always work out, but more often than not, I've found when you try to just, do the right thing is cliche in a sense, but you reap what you sow.
Sure.
And by trying to help buyers, sellers, and do things honestly, and disclose everything, it works out.
Yep. So just to recap, for everybody out there, the seller of this property owed more than what he accepted as the contract from Drew. Okay, Drew then sold that contract to a cash buyer for more than that amount, and to cover, because the seller needed to bring funds to closing, he needed to get from his retirement account, but he couldn't do it in time. So what Drew did is he saved the day. He used his assignment fee to cover the cost, to get it closed, but then put a promissory note between him and the seller. The seller, true to his words, got the funds from his retirement account and paid Drew. Boom. Beautiful.
Wow. You nailed it.
Yeah. So, and that's incredible. And sometimes these things happen and you got to get creative. And I think as long as you have an open and understanding conversation with the seller and buyer, things work out. We have a philosophy in our business that we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Whatever the deal is, we will figure it out. Number one, we put the seller as a priority. We make sure that they are taken care of because our job here is to provide value to the marketplace. So we'll take care of that first. Second is our buyer. Third is us. Okay, it sounds weird, but it works out almost every single time. We've never been burned. No, we've never been burned. So it's just a different kind of way to look at it. If you're always looking at the profit that you're going to be making on it and getting it at the exact time that you're supposed to get it in the exact way that you're supposed to get it, then you're going to lose out on a lot of deals and not be able to provide the value that Drew's talking about here. There's no way that deal gets done unless he's in the middle orchestrating everything to get it done cleanly, maybe not smoothly, but at least it got done and everybody was happy. So really, how much did you make?
18,637 and 18 cents.
And was that a cold call?
That was.
My man.
Thanks.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we definitely learn the most from our messy deals.
Sure.
we usually don't make that much on a messy deal. Usually it's smaller than that. Some of our best deals are, the fastest as well. I've heard that a number of times, and it's totally true.
Yep. Yep.
But
So if you were to, okay, so give somebody new to this, give them an idea of like just a tip that you would give them starting out off the bat. They've never done a deal before. What tip would you give somebody like that? You're sitting down and you're just having a conversation with them.
So earlier today, I actually met with my new cold caller, and we kind of had that discussion because, they're talking to people about real estate, and sometimes they feel like they need to know all about real estate.
Yep.
Because I'm an analytical person, like I know all about real estate.
I bet you do.
Of course. But, I really get into the weeds easily when it comes to like the details and things you can do. I'm trying to stop doing that. But I was talking with Jaden, my cold caller, and we were listening to some of his calls, and I was giving him some tips about, hey, if they're talking about they've got this lot and they could subdivide it, here's what it means. But after explaining all that, I said, you don't need to know that. That's, you're going to build up a reservoir of knowledge over here on the side, just naturally as time progresses. What you need to know is, do they want to sell?
Yep.
What's the condition of the home? Timeline to sell, motivation to sell, and are they willing to talk numbers? So on our script, what we've done is I've actually, underneath the voicemail page, I've put in big bold letters. Here's we don't do the 4 pillars. We do 5 pillars. We just throw in wants to sell.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the core elements, right? Yeah.
So we put the pillars there, and I said, okay, that is the essence of the script. All you need to do is pre-qualify. You don't need to know everything there is to know about real estate. All you need to know is these things, and confirm them multiple times if you have to.
Yep.
And then they're yes, no, or maybe, et cetera, right? Going through that process. So somebody starting out new, like when I first got into real estate, I flipped a house. We used an agent to buy it. We used an agent to sell it. I didn't know anything about real estate. I knew how to swing a hammer, and I learned a lot more than that too, because flipping is messy. But when I started into real estate, once we moved, like I got my license, and I was super confused. Got a lot of education, and you just got to jump in and take action. But specific to wholesaling, everything that you need, it's in the program, and that's not just a pitch. Like it's there, right? Yeah. That's why we decided to go with TTP, is because it's there, it's laid out, and you just follow the program.
Awesome, man. And any books? What book would you recommend?
So, I was going to recommend one, but it's similar to E-Myth, like processes and geeky stuff. But specific to wholesaling, it was through, I think it was on the book list for Wholesaling Inc. It was Close the Deal.
Yep.
Which is the audio version of You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. So that was a game changer for me.
Huge.
Because I'm not a super polished negotiator.
Sure.
And so just understanding, there's a structure to how you can talk with people and not have to talk as much. It's not a silver bullet, but it gives you a framework to get people talking, and you can be thinking, okay, am I qualifying them according to this, and that? And then we get to a point where they're ready to do business, and all we have to say is, what would you like to do next?
Yep.
Oh, okay, well, we'll take care of the contract then. Cool.
It's a sales process. Yeah.
So that was definitely my favorite book.
If anybody wants to get a hold of you, reach out to you, to find you on Facebook, email, what do you prefer?
So email's good. I'm at Drew, DREW, at bearrivercapital.com.
Say it again, Bear River?
Yeah, so it's bear like the mammal, river that flows, capital with the TAL spelling.
Got it. Very cool. Awesome, Drew. Well, thank you so much for reaching out, guys. Anybody that's in the Logan, Utah area or surrounding there, reach out to Drew. Meet up. Anybody around, just send him an email if you want to make contact. He's phenomenal at communication, so make sure that you reach out. Drew, thank you so much, man. Thank you
Pleasure.
so much for joining here. And everybody else, don't forget October 15th through the 17th, the Wholesaling Summit. WholesalingSummit2018.com. There is less than 50 seats left. You have to. By the time you hear this podcast, it'll be even less. So make sure you get there today and sign up for it, especially if you're watching this on video, because you're going to get that quicker. Remember, if you are looking to join the absolute most proactive real estate program in the country, you got to go to wholesalininc.com/TTP. That's wholesalininc.com/TTP. Set up a call with us. It's going to be the best call of your year. You're going to learn so many strategies to get either getting your first deal or adding so many more deals to your business. It's bananas. So make sure you go there, check that out. Also, check me out on, and you can check out this video on Brent Daniels, Real Estate Coach on YouTube. So that's it, man. I really appreciate you joining me, Drew. And for everybody out there, I encourage you to talk to people. Love you. See ya.